Well, folks, in today's video, we're going to be unboxing my brand new Mehano train set. I ordered this thing just about a couple weeks ago, and it finally arrived in the mail ahead of schedule, which is not something I was expecting. Anyway, I am very excited to unbox this today because I had actually thought for years that Mehano was out of business. And it wasn't until I was watching another channel I'm sure a lot of you guys probably recognize called Sam's Trains that he unboxed a Mehano train set and said they were still around. So I did some research, and as it turns out, they still exist. So I was like, well, I have to order something up from them, and I've always wanted a TGV train. So I placed an order off eBay UK, and yeah, I was able to get this train set for 170 Canadian dollars shipped, all costs paid. So not too bad for a high-speed train set, I have to say, and yeah, I was pretty excited about it. Mehano was really quite a big name in Canada back in the 2000s. They actually had a deal with President's Choice where every year they would develop the train sets. President's Choice is a grocery store up here, well, a chain of grocery stores, and yeah, I used to remember seeing these things in the stores, and the reason I thought they had gone out of business was because they stopped making those train sets back in '08, which is actually the same year that they filed for bankruptcy, but apparently it hasn't stopped them from making stuff. So they're not really available in the North American market anymore, but they are available in the European market, which is why I was able to import this train set in from Europe. So I'm really curious to see what it's going to be all about. I really like their products from the 2000s, so I'm going to be interested to see, you know, if they're still good quality. Because I have a bullet nose locomotive, and that thing is a tank. It's one of my toughest steam locomotives. I just absolutely love it. I had it since 2007. I was a kid. I was 6 years old when I got that thing, and it still runs pretty well for its age. So yeah, they made some great stuff. I'm a big fan of their products. Even quite avid model railroaders say their stuff is not that bad, which, you know, that kind of says a lot about for a starter set company, you know? So, yeah. Anyway, let's see it in the box here. It's such a big box, barely have enough room around here to open it all up. And there is the train set. Check that thing out. Wow. That is so cool. Alright, I'm going to set my camera up and then we can unbox this thing on the floor. I'm really curious to see what this is all about. I really thought Bachmann was the only one still making somewhat budget starter sets, but I guess in Europe you can still order these things. It's going to be interesting to see though, because of course if this thing came from Europe it probably has a controller which won't work here, but the train should, so yeah, I'm curious to play around with this whole thing. So let's get started. So here's the train set on the floor here, and I have to say I really do like the box artwork. I think they did a pretty nice job with it. On the back they have something which was more common of older train set companies in North America, which is showing all the accessories you can buy. They also say it's compatible with other HO train sets, which should be pretty obvious to any model railroader, but to people getting into the hobby, that could be something that they might not know, so it's good that they specify that. Here's the top of the box. Sides, nothing too special. Here are all the different languages for what's included, though. You can see just how many different countries this thing is sold in. Anyway, let's get around to actually opening the set up. So we'll take our knife here. And look at all of that. Nice. So, yeah, we've got the European style of plug, which is sort of unfortunate because I won't be able to use the controller, which I've actually heard from other channels, including Sam's Trains, that this is actually a pretty nice controller. But in any case, we got the rest of the set, which will hopefully work fine. I think this is probably just some basic instructions right here. Yeah, just basic instructions. Here's all the track. It's unfortunately steel track, but still looks to be alright. joiners and whatnot. Now, I've been looking at other reviews for these Mehano train sets, and I've seen a fair amount of them come with these little clips, and these are supposed to be, I believe, to actually clip the various pieces of track together, so that's kind of cool. And there's our re-railer terminal. Anyway, why don't we get the track set up, and we'll try to wire something up so we can see this run on its own track. Just started putting the track together, and I just thought I'd take this opportunity to show a little detail to all you beginners out there. When you're putting track together, be very careful that you get the joiners on exact, because it can be very easy to do this, and that can look fine, but when you look very carefully, there's that little bump, and that can cause derailment. So whenever you make a connection, run your fingers across the top and see if you can feel a little bump, and if you do, investigate that. It's a mistake that I still make sometimes, but if you don't notice it, it can be very frustrating when you have many derailments. Alright, so I got all that track work done, and it turned out okay. It's definitely not the greatest track. This is actually a pretty retro design. This is what you would find on Bachmann and lifelike train sets from the 70s and 80s, I think even up until the 90s. And I can't say I'm the biggest fan of this style of track for two reasons. First of all, it's steel track, which has a tendency to oxidize. But the bigger problem is for starter set track, you lay it out on the floor. And you have to be very careful when you lay track on the floor, because if it's, first of all, if it's on a rug, that's a big no-no, because the little fibers will come up and get sucked into the gears of the locomotive. But even just little pieces of pet fur and stuff like that can do the same thing. So yeah, it's not the greatest design. If you get a set like this, I'd suggest putting it on something or a table, just something to keep it off the ground where there's lots of things that the locomotive could potentially pick up. Now obviously I couldn't set it up with its stock controller because it has the European plug on it, but it shows the exact specifications for an input, so you could probably get a wall wart with the with those specifications and potentially use this within North America, so that's sort of cool. The controller feels okay. I find I find this disc kind of rubs up against it in a few spots, which is something I'm not too crazy about. The direction little mechanism, though, I find that's pretty satisfying. I have to say it does feel pretty tactile, so very happy with that. There was one thing, though, that I got a little bit of a laugh out of, which is that you can see around here, you got 25, 50, 75, 100, but the knob goes past 100, so I don't know what happens when you get into this territory. I guess it's like overdrive or something like that, but yeah, just a little bit of a funny design. I don't know why they wouldn't have just spread them out more or something like that. Maybe there's something I don't know. In any case, there's the controller. Now, I got this controller set up. This is from David's E to G scale. I was correct, it was backlit, if you saw one of my last videos. Anyway, we're going to be using this thing to test out our trackage. So now that we've got everything all set up there, let's take our trains out of the box. Here's the locomotive. That looks, yeah, that doesn't look too bad in my opinion. Pretty sharp, actually. It's not like the most detailed thing out there, but I think it looks nice. So there's our loco, and then here we got our first car. Yeah, pretty decent detail. I have to say they're a little bit lighter than I expected. It'd be probably better if they had a tiny bit more weight to them, but then again, won't put as much strain on the locomotive, and I suppose makes it cheaper for shipping. And finally, we've got the dummy locomotive right here. So let's set this whole consist up on the track there, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so we've got the whole train set up on the track here, as you can see. So let's give this thing some power and see how she goes here. Wow, look at that! It's not bad. That's operating at about, let's see, on the controller here, just under 12 volts of power. Yeah, you know what? That's a pretty fine little train there. I'm very pleased with that. Why don't we take this thing over to the layout? I want to see it rip around there. Alright, so we've got it all set up on the track, and I've got to say, I think it just looks great set up on the track like this on a nice long straight piece. It's a really sharp looking train there. I went on one of these trains in Paris back in the day there, and I have to say, it kind of brings back memories. Now I've been running this train for 30 minutes straight, and it's running really, really well. I'm super pleased with it. The only odd thing was that I did try running it in the opposite direction, and it kept derailing in that direction, so I'm not sure what was causing that. Could just be chalked down to my track work, but in any case, it seems to be completely fine going this direction. There was also a little bit of a wobble at the higher speeds when I first started running this thing, but I think that really just had to do with it needing to brake in a little bit, because as I've run it, that wobble has pretty much gone away, so yeah, I'm really pleased. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for today's video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Small editor's note here, I filmed all the footage that you see yesterday, which was the 24th of May, and I thought it would be cool to dig up a photo from back in 2014 when we actually went on this train, and I checked the date, and sure enough, it was taken on May 24th, 2014. So, yeah, exactly 6 years to the day. What a crazy coincidence. I promise you I didn't plan that.